Sand exploded in all directions as the warframe rose to full height, 10 meters tall. Its metal body was dented, scorched, but still powerful. Twin plasma cannons locked into place on each shoulder. The roar of its reactor echoed like thunder. Jason stood back, eyes wide. You know how to drive that thing. Inside the cockpit, Avra's hands slid across glowing panels. It was made for me. It answers only to my DNA. She closed her eyes, and the machine moved like it was alive. The royal assassins began to fire. Dozens of laser bolts rained down, but the warframe's shields activated just in time. Jason ducked behind a falling column. I'll cover your left. Avra raised the warframe's arm. A cannon charged, then fired. A direct hit. One of the black ships exploded midair. Jason whooped. Now that's more like it. But the others regrouped fast. 3 soldiers with jetpacks swooped toward the warframe, trying to land on it. One threw an EMP grenade. Avra reacted quickly. She spun the machine, crushing one with its armored hand and blasting another midair. The last one landed on top and began to cut through the outer shell. Jason aimed carefully from below and took him out with a clean shot. Got him. More enemies arrived, hover tanks, automated drones, and even a mind-controlled beast from the Royal Labs. Avra frowned. They're throwing everything at us. Jason shouted, "What now?" Avra didn't answer. She stepped the warframe forward and activated something hidden. From the warframe's back, 2 wings unfolded. Massive, mechanical wings, each glowing with ancient energy. Jason's jaw dropped. You didn't tell me it could fly. Avra's voice came through his comms. I didn't know either. Let's test it. With a loud burst, the warframe lifted off. It flew low, smashing through enemy lines, dodging blasts, and firing back with surgical precision. Avra's mind sensed with the system. Every movement felt natural, like she had always been part machine. She whispered, I'm not just a princess anymore. I'm their nightmare. Jason was running toward her, but then he stopped. Behind him, more troops arrived, led by someone he didn't expect. An older woman in silver armor, tall and cold. Her face was like Avra's, but harsher. Jason stared in shock. Is that? Avra's voice turned icy. My mother. Queen Valera stood at the battlefield's edge. She did not flinch. She simply raised her hand, and the skies darkened. Above them, a massive royal ship uncloaked. It was the Vengeance-class dreadnought, the deadliest ship in the Valari fleet. Avra's voice trembled. She brought that just for me. Jason ducked behind a rock. We can't take that thing head-on. Avra looked up at the sky. She wants to erase me completely. She wants to end this. Here now. The dreadnought charged its main cannon, a beam powerful enough to destroy a city. Avra took a deep breath. I have one shot. If I fail, we're both dead. Jason's voice was low. I trust you. The warframe climbed higher and higher. The cannon began to glow. Valera gave the order. Fire. A blinding beam of energy shot toward the warframe, and Avra flew straight into it. Jason screamed, AYVRA. But just before the beam hit, she vanished. A burst of white light exploded across the sky. The dreadnought shook. Systems went offline. Alarms blared. Jason's communicator buzzed. Avra's voice came through, weak, but alive. I used the warp shard. Again, I'm inside their ship. Jason gasped. You what? Avra whispered. Tell them their queen is about to lose her throne. Avra moved silently through the massive royal dreadnought. The ship was shaking. Systems had been damaged when she teleported inside using the ancient warp shard. Her armor cracked, her energy low. But her purpose? Stronger than ever. Jason's voice buzzed in her ear. Avra, are you alive? She whispered, still breathing. I'm inside her ship. Jason hissed. Are you insane? That thing has enough weapons to destroy a moon. I know, she said. That's why I came. She reached the central elevator. Broken. No power. So she climbed. Hand over hand, she scaled the maintenance shaft, every muscle aching, every heartbeat louder. She reached the throne level. A door stood in front of her. Tall, gold, marked with the crest of the Valari Empire. She kicked it open. Inside sat Queen Valera. Still, calm, cold. She didn't look surprised. I knew you'd come. Avra stepped forward, her boots echoing. I came to end it. Valera stood slowly. You shouldn't exist. Avra's eyes burned. That's exactly why I do. Behind Valera, guards moved forward, elite ones, clad in silver armor, their minds linked to her. Avra activated the last charge in her plasma blade. It lit up, blue and white, crackling with stolen energy. Valera smiled cruelly. Do you think this is a battle? No, Avra said. It's a reckoning. Then she moved, faster than they expected. Her blade slashed. Sparks flew. 2 guards fell before they could react. The rest swarmed her. Avra fought like fire, cutting, dodging, striking. But she was tiring. Valera stood above them all, untouched. Jason's voice crackled in her ear again. Avra, listen, I hacked their ship systems. There's something you need to see, right now. Avra ducked behind a pillar. Send it, she said. A hologram appeared in front of her. Her mother. Younger. Holding a baby. Avra. She was crying, but smiling. Jason's voice came through. She didn't always want to destroy you. She once loved you. They forced her to change. Avra stared at the recording. Valera's voice in the message. Forgive me. They told me you died in the lab fire. If you ever see this, run. They'll come for you. Avra's heart twisted. Everything she knew was a lie. Valera stepped closer. That recording is fake. Avra stood slowly. No, you just forgot who you were. They faced each other now, mother and daughter. One broken by the system, the other fighting to break it. Then, without warning, Avra deactivated her weapon. She dropped it to the floor. Valera's eyes narrowed. What are you doing? Avra stepped forward and raised her hands. I'm not going to kill you. Valera looked confused. Why? Avra said, because I want the galaxy to see you. The real you. I want them to watch as your lies collapse, and your throne turns to dust. Jason's voice shouted in her ear, Avra, you need to leave now. I've overloaded the core. This ship's going to blow. Avra turned and ran. Guards chased her, but she was faster. Down the halls, through the tunnels, back to the launch bay. She found a fighter jet, started it, flew out just as the dreadnought shook violently. From the ground below, Jason looked up and saw it. The mighty royal ship breaking apart. Flames, screams, and then a single escape pod falling toward him. He ran. The pod crashed. The door opened, and Avra stepped out, alive. Barely. Her eyes locked on Jason's. It's done, she said. Jason grinned. Not yet. The galaxy just saw everything. Your story is out. They can't bury you anymore. Avra looked at the sky. They'll come for us. Jason nodded. Let them try. Avra sat beside Jason's bed. His chest rose and fell. Barely. He'd had taken the bullet meant for her. Again. The doctors told her he might not wake up, but she didn't leave his side. The trial's final verdict was just hours away. Across the galaxy, billions waited to hear the fate of the one girl they thought was long dead. The girl who had returned, with a human. A soft knock on the door pulled her from her thoughts. It was a messenger. The judges are ready. Avra stood. But before she walked out, she whispered to Jason, if I make it out of this, we finish what we started. Together. The galactic court was even louder than before. Protesters outside chanted her name. Some called her a symbol. Others still called her a threat. But no one could ignore her anymore. The main judge rose. We have made our decision. Avra stood tall. The judge continued. You are not guilty of treason. You are guilty of disrupting the truth we were told. And for that, we say, thank you. Gasps filled the air. The judge looked around. The lies end today. Cheers erupted. Avra was stunned. But then, the building shook. Explosions outside. An emergency alert flashed across every screen. Remaining loyalist forces attacking capital. Queen Valera reported dead in orbit bombing. Avra's eyes went cold. They're trying to wipe it all clean. One last time. She ran out of the court, jumped into a hover transport, flew toward the defense tower, where all planetary shields were controlled. As she arrived, she saw them. Rogue royal guards trying to shut down the city's protection grid. Avra leaped out before the vehicle even landed. She fought through the chaos, Blaster in one hand, energy shield on the other. She reached the control room just in time. A commander raised his weapon. She didn't flinch. A shot rang out. But it wasn't hers. Jason, leaning against the doorway, pale and weak, but alive. He had dragged himself there. "I figured you'd start without me," he said, half smiling. Together, they locked down the shields. The last bombing ships were stopped mid-atmosphere. The capital was safe. For now. 1 week later, Ava stood on the steps of the rebuilt Senate Tower. Crowds stretched for miles. Her voice was strong. "The galaxy watched me die once. Then it watched me rise. I wasn't chosen. I wasn't crowned. I survived. That was enough." She looked at Jason beside her. "And now, I don't stand here as royalty. I stand here as a reminder. Truth survives. Even when everything else burns." The crowd roared. Ships flew overhead in peaceful formation. Flags waved. Former enemies stood side by side. And above it all, a new banner was raised. Not for the Empire, but for the people. Final scene. Later, Avra and Jason stood alone in a quiet field on Coral V, the place where she'd been presumed dead. Avra placed a small token into the ground, a symbol of the past. Jason asked, "Is it really over?" Avra replied, "No, but now, it begins on our terms." He nodded, ready to build a better galaxy. Avra smiled, one truth at a time. They walked away, together. No thrones, no lies, just fire in their hearts, and stars ahead. The Galactic Senate was packed. Leaders from every system had gathered. Some whispered, some stared at the center of the giant hall, waiting for the next speaker. Then the doors creaked open. The room fell silent. A figure walked in slowly, wrapped in a dirty, torn cloak. Her face was hidden. Behind her walked a human, tall, strong, and alert. His eyes scanned the room like a soldier ready for war. Someone whispered, "Who is that?" But others had already gone pale. When the figure reached the center of the hall, she removed her hood. Gasps filled the chamber. It was her, Princess Avra, the one who had died 10 years ago, the one whose face was carved on memorials across the stars, the daughter of the last queen of the Valari Empire, the girl who had vanished in the Coral V explosion during the Great Rebellion. She looked older now. Her silver hair was shorter, her violet eyes tired but sharp. A scar ran across her left cheek, but there was no doubt. It was her. The human beside her stepped forward. "My name is Jason Cade. I stand with her, and I demand answers." The High Senator stood slowly, voice shaking. This is impossible. The princess was declared dead. We have records." Jason's voice grew harder. "Then your records are lies. I found her, alive, trapped in a sealed bunker beneath the ruins of Coral V. Someone left her there to die." Avra looked around the room. "You all watched me burn, didn't you?" No one answered. She stepped closer to the Senate podium. "I remember everything. The blast, the screams, the voices calling out for help. I survived, and not one of you came looking." The hall remained frozen. Eyes flicked toward each other. Guilt, fear, confusion. In the upper balconies, news drones hovered, recording every second. Jason leaned in and whispered to her, "They're going to try to silence us." She nodded. "Let them try." 10 years ago, the planet Coral V had burned in the final days of the rebellion. Avra had led a peace mission there, hoping to stop the war. But a sudden explosion destroyed everything. The official story was that she had died along with her royal guards. That wasn't true. Jason had found her 6 months ago, while tracking energy signals in the ruins. Deep underground, behind a sealed chamber, he discovered her, barely alive, weak, and frozen in a stasis pod. The moment he opened it, she gasped for air and collapsed into his arms. She remembered nothing at first. Then the pieces came back, slowly. They knew. She told him one night by the fire. "My own people, my family. They locked me down there. They didn't want peace." Jason had spent the next few months helping her recover. She trained, ate, remembered, and when she was strong enough, they made a plan. She would return, and she would speak the truth. But now, standing in front of the Senate, Avra saw only cold faces. "You want proof," she said. She pulled a small device from her cloak and threw it into the air. A blue hologram lit up. It showed a younger Avra, chained, screaming inside the stasis pod. The chamber was sealed by royal guards. Their faces were clear. One of them was her cousin. "You left me to die," she said. Her voice echoed in the chamber. One senator stood, furious. "This is an attack on the royal legacy." Jason stepped forward. "This is the truth." Suddenly, alarms rang out. Guards entered the room, weapons ready. Avra didn't move. "Are you going to kill me again?" she asked. The guards stopped. None moved forward. "I am the rightful daughter of Queen Valera," she said, "and I'm not going to hide anymore." The silence in the hall was deep. Jason looked around. Some senators were crying. Others looked away. And somewhere in the shadows above, a woman watched the scene unfold with cold eyes. She tapped a communicator. "She's alive," the voice said. "Send the order. Make sure she doesn't leave the planet alive." The ship floated silently above the moon of Caltron Prime. Jason was asleep in the co-pilot's seat. His jacket rolled up under his head. He had barely slept in the last 2 days. After Avra's shocking appearance at the Senate, they had escaped just minutes before soldiers stormed the building. Avra hadn't spoken much since then, but her eyes were always watching. Narrowed, alert. She stood near the ship's window, arms crossed. She whispered to herself, "They know I'm alive now, and they'll do everything to erase me again." Jason stirred and sat up. Bad dream. Avra shook her head. "No, just remembering." He stretched. "We're clear for now. No ships on the scanner, but they'll send something soon." She nodded. "They always do." Jason walked up next to her. "You said something strange before you fell asleep yesterday. About your mother." Avra's voice grew cold. "She's not the woman people think she is." Jason tilted his head. "You mean Queen Valera?" Avra turned to him. "Yes, my mother. The great ruler of the Valari Empire, loved by all. But she's the one who ordered my death." Jason blinked. Why would she do that? Avra walked to a storage panel, pulled out an old star map, and spread it across the table. She believed I was too soft, too human. She always hated that part of me. Jason leaned forward. "You're not human." "No," Avra said, "but I'm not fully Valari either." Jason froze. She continued. "My father, he wasn't from our world. He was from Earth, a diplomat. My mother met him during peace talks. Their relationship was secret. When I was born, she hid the truth, said I was pure-blooded." Jason stepped back slowly. "You're half human?" She nodded. "That's why I was different. That's why I believed in peace." Jason rubbed his face. "Then she saw you as a threat." "Yes," Avra whispered. "A threat to the purity of the throne. A danger to the royal bloodline. She wanted me gone." Before Jason could answer, a red light flashed on the control panel. Alert! Incoming ships. Jason rushed to the controls. "They found us." Avra ran beside him. "How many?" Jason scanned. 3 royal fighters. No ID codes. That means assassins. Avra's eyes burned with anger. She sent my own blood to finish the job. Jason powered the engines. "We can't outfight them, but we might outrun them." The ship shook as lasers hit the shield. Warning lights flashed. Jason swore under his breath. "They're faster. We need a planet. Cover. Something." Avra pointed. "There. Drift sector. Asteroid field." Jason turned the ship sharply and shot toward it. "Hold on." The ship zipped between rocks and frozen debris. Chunks of ancient space junk floated like knives in the dark. The fighters followed, firing with deadly aim. Jason dodged hard left. "They're not even trying to disable us. They're going for kill shots." Avra reached into a compartment and pulled out a strange glowing cube. Jason glanced at it. "What's that?" she whispered. "Something I swore never to use." She pressed the cube into the ship's core panel. The entire ship pulsed with energy. The engines screamed, and then they vanished in a flash of light. Seconds later, they reappeared on the far side of the field. Jason gasped. "What the hell was that?" Avra looked pale. "It's a warp shard. Illegal tech. My father gave it to me before he disappeared. I'd never used it. Until now." Jason shook his head, amazed. "You saved us." Avra collapsed into the seat. "No, I delayed them." Jason put a hand on her shoulder. We need a place to hide. Avra looked up, eyes hard. No more hiding. I need answers. There's only one place that holds the truth. Jason raised an eyebrow. Where? Avra stared at the star map, then tapped a planet that wasn't marked. This world was erased from all maps. Even I thought it was a myth. Jason frowned. Why go there? She whispered. Because it's where I was made. The ship slowed as it reached the edge of a forgotten system. No lights. No signals. Just darkness. Jason checked the scanners. There's nothing out there. No planets. No moons. Just empty space. Avra was staring straight ahead. Her voice was quiet but sure. It's here. Hidden behind cloaking fields. My father brought me here once when I was a child. He said it was the last free place in the galaxy. Jason narrowed his eyes. And what exactly is hidden here? Avra looked at him. The truth. About me. About the Empire. About what they did to all the others like me. Jason's fingers danced across the controls. I'm getting weird readings. Some kind of radiation pulse. Could be old tech. Suddenly, the ship jolted. A blue ripple passed over the front window, like they had flown through an invisible curtain. Then, it appeared. A planet. Dark and cracked. Surrounded by rings of broken ships and debris. Jason blinked. That wasn't there a second ago. Avra nodded. That's why no one remembers. It's been cloaked for years. Wiped from maps. Forgotten by force. The ship descended carefully through the upper atmosphere. The clouds were thick and red, swirling like smoke. Below them were the ruins of an ancient city, half buried in sand and ash. Jason landed near the edge of what looked like a once mighty palace. As they stepped outside, the air was heavy, cold, silent. Avra looked around slowly. I was born here. Jason raised an eyebrow. Not on the royal homeworld? She shook her head. No, my mother kept my birth a secret. My father was in hiding. They made me here, in a lab beneath that palace. Jason looked uneasy. Made you? Avra nodded. I'm not just half human. I'm something else. They walked into the ruined palace. Stone pillars lay broken on the ground. The floors were covered in dust, bones, and strange markings. Creatures watched them from the shadows, but did not come close. Avra led Jason to a sealed metal door half buried under rubble. This is it, she whispered. Jason helped clear the rubble. They opened the door with a loud hiss. A staircase led deep underground. At the bottom was a dark hallway lined with broken screens and shattered glass chambers. Avra walked past each one. These were children. Hybrids. Like me. They were trying to create peace through blood. A new generation. Half Ilari, half human. Jason looked around, eyes wide. But they're all gone. Avra nodded. My mother found out. She ordered this place destroyed. My father saved me. But barely. They reached a glowing control panel. Avra touched it gently. A voice spoke, fuzzy but clear. Project Unity. Status. Failed. All subjects terminated, except one. Jason stepped back. They were creating you. Avra's eyes burned. No, they were creating hope. Suddenly, the screen changed. A face appeared. Her mother. Queen Valera. Recording playback. If this project continues, it will end the royal line. My daughter will not rule over freaks. I will end this. Myself. Jason clenched his fists. She destroyed her own child's future. Avra turned away. She destroyed more than that. A loud crash echoed from above. Jason drew his weapon. We've got company. Avra ran to the stairs. They tracked us. As they reached the surface, black ships descended like hawks. Elite royal hunters dropped from the sky, armored in black and gold. Jason raised his blaster. We can't fight them all. Avra looked around, desperate, then spotted something buried in the sand. A small beacon. She ran to it and slammed her hand on it. The ground shook. Metal doors opened. A giant machine rose from the ground. An ancient warframe. Jason gasped. What is that? Avra climbed into the cockpit. It's what they built to protect me, in case I ever came back. She looked down at him. Get ready. We're not running anymore. The machine lit up, eyes glowing red. The royal soldiers opened fire. And the war began. The Galactic High Court was more crowded than ever. Billions across the galaxy were watching the trial through live feeds. Every screen, every ship, every world. At the center of the room stood Avra. No longer hidden, no longer silent. She wore plain robes, no armor, no crown, just the truth. Jason stood nearby, a quiet guardian. The judges, 12 ancient beings from the oldest civilizations, sat above them, glowing with power and pride. A voice echoed, "Avra Valari, daughter of Queen Valera, survivor of the Coral V explosion. How do you plead?" She looked up, calm. "Not guilty of treason. Guilty only of surviving." Gasps filled the hall. One judge leaned forward. "You claim the Empire lied." Jason stepped forward. "We don't claim it. We proved it." He played the hologram again. The one showing Queen Valera holding Avra as a child, whispering apologies, explaining that the system forced her to fake her own daughter's death. Avra added, "They hid me because I wasn't part of their plan. They feared I might one day stop them." Another judge said, "And now you want power." Avra shook her head. "I want the truth. I want the galaxy to know who their rulers really are." A senator from the back stood up. He was from a race known to serve the Queen's inner circle. "She is dangerous," he shouted. "She commands ancient warframes, carries weapons lost for centuries. She even destroyed a dreadnought." Jason replied calmly, "She did it to survive, to protect herself, to stop being hunted." More voices rose. The room was filled with arguments, chaos. Avra raised her hand. Slowly, the room went silent. She stepped into the center and said, "Let me ask you something. If your leaders lied about my death, what else have they lied about?" That single question changed everything. The judges whispered to each other. Behind the scenes, hidden files leaked across networks. Jason's doing. Details of secret assassinations, vanished rebels, entire colonies erased from maps. People began to wake up. Then, to everyone's shock, Queen Valera appeared on screen. Weak, broken, but alive. She had survived the explosion on her ship, and now she was ready to speak. Her voice was softer than anyone had ever heard. "I was forced to give up my daughter. I was told she died, but when she returned, I ordered her death again, because I feared what she reminded me of, my failure." She paused. "But I see now. Avra was right." Jason leaned closer to Avra. That just turned the galaxy upside down. Avra didn't smile. She simply looked at the judges. "Now you know the truth. What you do with it is up to you." The judges rose. One of them announced, "We will decide her fate in one day. Until then, she is free, but watched." Avra bowed her head slightly. As she and Jason left the court, thousands of cameras followed them. Jason whispered, "You know they might still try to kill you, right?" Avra replied, "They already did." She paused. "And they failed." But just as they stepped outside, a sniper fired. Jason pushed Avra down. Too late. Blood hit the stone floor. But it wasn't Avra's. Jason collapsed. Avra screamed his name as guards swarmed around her. The shooter was caught, but Jason wasn't moving. Avra held him in her arms. His voice was barely a whisper. "You have to finish it, even if I don't." Avra's hands trembled. "Don't say that. Stay with me." He tried to smile. "You brought down an empire. Don't cry now." His eyes closed. Avra looked up, fire in her veins. They just made their final mistake.